Welcome to the Sports Show. I'm Andy Marks.
And I'm Byron Saucer.
Byron, it's been a long off season. We've had months and months to think about the start of prep football season. Me especially, because you schooled me last year at this football picking game. I think I lost by 13, 14, 15 games.
Yeah.
So
we stopped counting at some point.
Yeah, right around 9 or so was when the ticker went off. So I'm going to let you pick first and just pick what you pick this year, and I think we'll end up tied. That's my strategy.
It's not a bad strategy. Well, we start Thursday night.
That's right, an early game this year, and it involves the highest-ranked team we got.
Yep, number 5 Trinity Catholic in 2B travels up to Citizens Field. Face number 8 4A Gainesville High, who is deceptively strong. Got Kevin Nelson there in the middle already, a Miami commit. A team that doesn't return a whole lot of starters from last year, a 5-5 season, but beat North Marion last year and should be a good gauge for Trinity early on.
I agree. They have is Ryan Smith in his second year, I want to say, as the coach there?
I believe so, yeah.
And it seems like it's a program. It was one of those teams that had traditionally passed the look test. You'd see them and be impressed. Somehow or another, they weren't playing that well. I think that pendulum's starting to come back to where this is now just a good team. There's no two ways about it. So a really good test for Trinity early in the year. I don't know. I mean, if Trinity loses this game, it wouldn't necessarily be a horrible loss. Gainesville is a much bigger school. They got a lot of talent. One thing I can tell you is that if Trinity wins this game big, watch out for Trinity, because this is a real game. This is no sort of ease into your schedule type of game. And I don't think that huge win's going to happen, but I am going to pick Trinity. I like the Celtics in this game. I went with a score of 20-14.
Yeah, I like Trinity as well, but I did see some things that concerned me last Friday night against Leesburg. One, the inability to finish, and I know it's just a preseason game, but they went out to a 28-0 lead and then let Leesburg score the next 3 touchdowns, and actually the Yellow Jackets were driving to cut it to a point or two before an interception turned them back, and kind of got the momentum back on Trinity's side. But Kedrick Rhodes was fantastic. That kid's really special. I know he was close to maybe committing to Iowa, but I think a lot of new, more impressive offers may come up during the course of the season for him. I'm a little concerned with the quarterback situation, because we don't really know what's going to happen. Jeremiah Gates, converted linebacker, running back, who played, fantastically in the spring, struggled a little bit the other night. Gray Crow, the transfer, 6'3", 220 big kid that came in and looked like the heir apparent, hasn't completely picked up the playbook yet. So there's still some question marks, but I like Trinity up there. I'm going to go 28-20.
Great. It's a great starter game for the year.
It is.
And it'll be followed up by one day by another just fantastic game up there in Spar. North Marion is hosting the number 1 team in Class 3A. That would be St. Augustine. You and I both witnessed the last matchup between these two teams. It was in the state semifinal, the second of 2 years in a row that they met in the state semifinals in 2007. And St. Augustine dropped the hammer on them.
Yeah, North Marion knows all about St. Augustine. They're fast, athletic, and they'll get after you. And they found that out in 07 when they got whitewashed up there. And then 05 was the 2019 game that was so close. But a great matchup, like you say. Stanton Memorial Stadium will be hopping Friday night, I'm sure. And I don't know, you got a chance to see North Marion. Looks like every year they lose this batch of fantastic players, but then there's this new group that comes in and picks it up.
Yeah, they played Lake Weir in their preseason fall classic. Lake Weir is one of those teams to watch in this county. They're coming off of their first playoff berth. There's a lot of enthusiasm there, and I'll tell you what, North Marion shoved them around. There was a huge push at the line. North Marion's skill players were just basically off and running frequently. It was an impressive performance. If Lake Weir is a good team again, and I think they're going to be at the very least a competitive team, it spoke well for what North Marion is capable of this year. They lost another great running back in Eddie Rocker, who went up to FAMU. Jamie Gilmore, C.J. Richardson. These two guys ran nicely, and they were a good sort of thunder and lightning combo. Gilmore was really fast, hit the holes quickly, and was gone. Richardson is a stocky, physical runner. It was exciting ground game, and we know that they can pass because Chuck Looney's a third-year starter. Right. Having an experienced quarterback when you want to contend, there's no better thing for a coach to not have to worry about than a guy under center who's been there before. So it's a North Marion team. Now their district, of course, this year, we'll talk about this a lot later. Their district has changed drastically. East Side's coming down here. It's not going to be as easy for them to get out of their district in first place, although they still could. That doesn't have any effect on this week's game. I like North Marion. I love Craig Damon as a coach, but man, I'm a little intimidated by that St. Augustine squad coming in. I'm picking the Yellow Jackets, and I don't know that it's going to be close. That 35-0 that happened in 2007 still in my head. I'm going to go with 35-14.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with the number one ranked team as well. I'm going to go 21-17 St. Augustine. But I think linebacker Brandon Carr and Cortland Thomas up front, a very aggressive physical defense. I think maybe they can keep this thing close. And, who knows? They get to the fourth quarter in a close game. I like the Colts' chances.
Yeah, in North Marion, we can talk reverently about St. Augustine. There's a lot of programs out there that would love to be North Marion. It's a very, very good statewide program. So let's move on. Bellevue actually had some nice-looking football in both the spring and the fall. Their first test is at Crystal River. I think on paper this is a game that Bellevue should win, but Crystal River, of course, has a noteworthy running back.
Yeah, Trevon Brooks getting looks from UCF. Arkansas and Kentucky, it looks like he has it narrowed down to. A big bruising kid, 5'11", 210, got 4.5 speed. Really just gashed Lake Weir last year in an early season game. I'm sure they'll try to ride him, but Bellevue looked pretty good against Denellen last week, and I think the most encouraging thing was probably 2 touchdown passes from new quarterback Colton Howell. When they have a quarterback that can go up top in that double wing, they'll lull you to sleep, and then they go over the top. It makes them very difficult to defend. And if Bellevue's defense can hang tough, I like their chances here. Also, last 2 meetings, Bellevue's outscored Crystal River 119-6, so history certainly on the Rattler side. I like Bellevue 20-10.
Yeah, I like Bellevue also. I'll tell you, if I'm some other team out there, Bellevue's not the team I would want to play in week 1 because you spend your whole preseason just working on your own formations, your own positions, your own depth battles, and then all of a sudden you got to play this crazy animal called the double wing, which is completely different than setting up for just about any other team. That's not an easy thing to do. Bellevue, I could see Trevon Brooks gaining some yards. Bellevue is still kind of rebuilding from where they were 3 years ago, and this is a big-time running back. I think it's going to be a good game. I like the Rattlers to have a winning year this year and get off to a good start. I'm saying 28-21.
All right, moving along, we got Denellen going out to Lecanto, and that's a program you know a little bit about.
A little bit. Lecanto has been around for 20-some years. I think they've made the playoffs once. Their usual record is in the neighborhood of 1 or 2 wins. Might be the case again this year. They've got a couple of good linebackers, but they just don't have great athletes there. They don't have that running back that can burst around to the outside. I think this is a game that Denellen wins and wins easily. I know we both like Denellen. I probably like them a little more because I think my score is crazy. I said 42-0. Denellen might run some more in this one.
Yeah, and also another new quarterback there with Cody Underwood, who went up top and touchdown reception pass to Terrence Brooks, who scored both of theirs. We know about him. The FSU commit can do a little bit of everything. Of course, Bubba Black ran for nearly 1,500 yards. They also have track star Angelo Cabrera, LeVon Vereen, so I think you're right. Maybe a few passes to loosen them up and then just put the hammer down. But yeah, I like Frank Beasley and the Tigers to get off to a quick start, 35-13, Denellen.
Okay, well, this next game is actually a really interesting game. Forest going up to Union County. That's not an easy game to forecast. It's really a big contrast. Forest, a much bigger school. They're up in 6A this year. Forest also had a lot of losses from last year. Some key players coming back that are really nice. I think maybe their signature experienced players might be the running back Donald Webb, quarterback Zach Welch, Chris Veron, the USF-bound kicker. Right. Union County was a Trinity foe for many years. They've broke free from them now. I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's going to be a tight game. I really do. Union County, former Alabama quarterback Andrew Zow's got them on the way back. They were 8-3 last year. I think they're trying to move forward. I think they're going to do that. They got some nice players up there. But I think Forest depth, and especially up front, offensive line, defensive line, which is really where they made their hay against Vanguard last week in the preseason classic. I think they can kind of impose their will up there, and I like David Hodges and his bunch to get off to a quick start. But 2017, close. That's a tough place to go play. They'll have that stadium packed. They got the Jumbotron up there. It's a great high school atmosphere. So if you get a shot, go up there and check this one out.
They've been known to produce some athletes too. It's the hometown of C.J. Spiller. Now, probably if there's any such thing as a Heisman candidate whose name isn't Tim Tebow, maybe Sam Bradford, C.J. Spiller would certainly be on the short list. I don't know if they got another C.J. Spiller or not this year. I took Forest in a squeaker this year, 24-23, only because if you're a big school and you're not a bad big school, you should beat a small school, and Forest has got a much larger pool of kids to choose from. It's a good sign for them if they win this game, but an even worse sign for them if they can't beat a non-contending type of Class 2B team. We'll see how it goes. And we talked a little bit about Lake Weir earlier. They certainly had their hands full against North Marion, as many teams would. Now they got the Villages. What kind of matchup is that?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell. The Villages kind of went backwards a little bit last year. They dropped down in the 1A classification. Lake Weir handled them last year. I believe they'll handle them again. I like Tracy Curry. He can create. He's got a depleted supporting cast this year. Certainly, you don't lose guys like Jeriel Sears and Eddie Williams and Alex Noel and guys like that, and not have a little dip. But I think by the time the postseason gets here, I think Lake Weir will be all right, and I think they'll get off to a quick start here. I'll take them in a close one, 14-10.
I like him too. Actually, I said 31-16. I like Lake Weir to score a few points. We're going to talk about Tracy Curry all year long because he's a sensational athlete. I'm going to mention another kid that I watched in this classic against North Marion. That's Kyle Whiteman. He's kind of a possession receiver type of kid. Really good hands. Knows how to get open. He can be physical with smaller cornerbacks, and also just a really good football player. He was their kicker, their punter. I think he had a 50-yard punt that I saw. He's got a big leg. It's just a good football player. And I also like they don't have Eddie Williams any longer. They got a tandem they're going with. One of them, Walter O'Neill, I believe, a junior, shifty little guy that can break off some big runs if he needs to. I think Lake Weir is going to be at the very least a good offensive team this year, and I think that'll start this week. So I like them also.
Then we got the private school throw the records out rivalry. St. John will visit Ocala Christian Academy, and these two have split the last 2 years, 6-0 for OCA, which broke a long streak of futility there in 07, and then last year St. John got back on the winning side, 10-7. So this one, I think, is going to shake out something like that this year. The one exception I see, and I haven't had a chance to see St. John yet, but I like OCA's explosiveness out of the backfield. I mean, they have some guys that can really go. Jabril Stewart being the main culprit, and I really like Billy Kaufman, the sophomore quarterback. I talked to Butch Etheridge at length about him, and he raves about this young man. So I look for OCA to start another streak here, 13-10 Crusaders.
We can't pick all 10 games alike, so this is where I'm making my stand. This is where I'm going to, and this is bad news for you folks out there at St. John. If Byron and I are on opposite sides of a game and I'm with you, let's hope that something in the stars has shifted in the offseason. Because I'm going to go with St. John. You mentioned those 2 years of splits the last 2 years. Go back a little further, and this is a rivalry that St. John owned in a major way. Dennis Munier is as experienced and as smart of a football coach as we got in this county. I'm going to go with the Saints in this one. Who knows, though? You're right. You say throw the records out. I completely agree with that. I will tell you that like you mentioned, OCA's got some players this year, and they have a chance in their conference to have a really, really nice season. This game, ultimately, win or lose, would not hurt that effort, but I'm going to go with the Saints.
All right. And finishing out the slate, we got Westport at Booster Stadium facing Vanguard, who, of course, is under new head coach Alex Castaneda.
Yeah, tough game to pick because these are both programs that have been through the ringer. Vanguard had their coaching meltdown last year. They had Greg Bigham come in, disappeared midway through the season.
Right.
Huge amounts of turnover in both the coaching staff and in players. Of course, Castaneda is a name that people know well back from his days as Dante Culpepper's quarterbacks coach. Had some success at Westport, which is a situation that no one else has succeeded in. I like Vanguard in general. It's a school that has always had athletes, and I think Alex Castaneda knows how to use athletes. Can they turn it around right away? I don't know. Westport has they had their catastrophic event more recently than Vanguard did when their coach Jim Lindsay bailed out. What was it, 5 days before the first day of practice?
Something like that.
Lyle Livingood, who's a basketball coach at Westport, he's a guy that I have a lot of respect for as a coach. Kind of by default took this job over, and I don't care how good of a football coach you are, that is not an easy job, taking over a team 5 days before the start of practice. They had a mass exodus of players at the end of last season. Everybody there has either not played last year or only played a part season last year or was JV last year. Yeah. That is a tough situation. I think that Lyle's a good coach. He certainly knows the type of kids they have there at Westport, and I think that this team will compete in some games this year. It's a little early. I'm going to say Vanguard wins it big, 35-7.
Yeah, Lyle definitely fell on the grenade over there at Westport, and both these programs, as you've mentioned, I mean, have just had a bad way to go the last few years. Just instability at every level, and you'd just like to see both of them get on some solid ground. I think Castaneda is going to be the guy at Vanguard. I think Lyle is certainly the Band-Aid for now, and maybe grows into that head football coach for the future. I don't know, but I think you're right. I think. Just by default, I think I like Vanguard, and this one will go 20-10.
Nice. It's a nice matchup, though, for our first game of the year because we really want to see where these two programs are. And I'll tell you what, the good thing about them playing each other is that somebody's going to win, and both of those teams really need a win. So it'll be a good outcome for whoever does win that game.
Combined 2-18 last year.
Right. So we'll see you all out at the fields this Friday. It's the start of football season. Get out there and root on your favorite squad. If you can't do that, go to ocala.com. We've got some new stuff on the website this year. We've got a live interactive scoreboard, frequent updates from every stadium, and we'll be back next week to see which one of us beat the other one by one game.